ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week. Instead of Re-Entry Monday, Re-Entry Tuesday. Myself and Scott Webb live from Tampa as we go over quickly today what we saw in college football in the NFL last week. Last night's two Monday night games. Thoughts and prayers to Mr. Tyreek Hill. As it comes out, it's not just the knee, it's also some ACL damage. So, like CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill will be done for the season, and there will be no trade to Kansas City or wherever else. And then we'll get you caught up on what we see early in the week today. Well, Monday is usually what we do that. Tuesday, we start to gain some steam. Off on Wednesday, and then we come back Thursday, Friday with in-pocket plays. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Guy, Zach, Travis, myself, Amber, Holly, Carol, Bucks, Alan, Matt. The list is endless, guys. Just come on board. Trust me on this. You will not be disappointed. And another company we're not disappointed with, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. You know the drill. Go over to Facebook, introduce yourself to Terry Smith. Come on back to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steak, seafood, chops, appetizers, wines. Set it and forget it with 4 subscription plans like I do. Every 30 days, Terry can have a box of protein delivered to your front door. The only thing that you will need is a spare propane tank. So without further ado, it's baseball time. It's playoffs. But we're talking football. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, it's been a long weekend for me in the last couple of days. I'm tired, but at the same time that I'm tired, I'm still working, still doing the stuff we need to do. I'm working on trying to, that games on paper stuff that we've been, introducing to everybody. I'm trying to put together a program that I can just plug in data and it's going to produce some results for us. So that's what I'm looking to do, right? That's what I'm working on. As opposed to, kind of just reading and deciphering what's going on. I'd rather have it just say, hey, look, here you go, and we can start plugging in numbers. But that takes a little while. So anyway, all that being said, good morning, man. It's baseball playoff days. We got, what is today? Today's Tuesday, so we got baseball every hour on the hour. Seems like all day today. And then tomorrow the same. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. And then Thursday we got some football that comes on. College football game. I don't think it's going to be too much. I'm not going to be out there betting Sam Houston, I don't think. And then Friday, I think we do have some stuff we can look at. I'm kind of looking at some of that already. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's interesting to see how these baseball playoffs kind of come out. I know we did a baseball show yesterday. I think it kind of kicked into pretty good numbers there towards the end. So we'll see how it goes.
Two Monday night games last night again. Let's just be honest here, and not to his own fault, kind of, sort of, but I'm talking about Cincinnati. Dead man walking, obviously, with this head coach, 28-3, an O line that has a hard time protecting. Jake Browning, number one, number two. No Joe Burrow, no bueno. In other words, you can't establish the run now. It's just like, all right, we'll stack the box and Jake Brown and you go beat us. You can see Jamar Chase already starting to get frustrated. What I did notice, and maybe it was just me, I think actually you're going to laugh when I tell you this, watching most of the Denver game, I think he's got issues on the outside on his O-line. He's never comfortable and able to stay in the pocket. Now, if that's by design, because I know Sean Payton likes to do a lot of roll left, roll right, but even if you're just taking a snap and you want to sit there, he seemed to have constant pressure. But 28-3 there, Denver gets to even there. And then Miami Jets, Justin Fields did everything that he could, not enough. Miami wins, Jets lose there. In the college, it was the marquee weekend. Some huge games. I'll start with Penn State and Franklin now. I think 0-15 against top 10 teams in the regular season. The Ducks come in a whiteout win in double overtime. I needed one more score for Penn State for that team total over. Thank you, Mr. Aller there. Alabama dominant first half. 24 points they scored, and that's all they scored for the whole game. They hold on and beat Georgia. I was a little surprised I didn't have any action on it. I did lean LSU, but Ole Miss takes care of LSU. There are a couple other big games I'm slipping through the track. Notre Dame comes into an Arkansas after Arkansas lost at Memphis, and it was kind of funny. I was on the road at 4:30 a.m. on Saturday, so I had my snapshot from Friday night, and then I checked in at around 3:30, and I saw the money move on Arkansas, and they all moved, and I had Arkansas team total. Shame on me, banana in the tailpipe. I lose back-to-back weeks with them instead of we had Notre Dame the week before. I could have just followed up on Notre Dame. My point was I got the banana in the tailpipe there. A false move on Arkansas there. But there were some other big games. What did your eyes see, Scotty?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit some of those bigger ones, and I would say this. You know, obviously I'm trying to show people how to use current relative data and stuff like that to look at some of these football games. Had you done that, I don't think you would have had a problem with Penn State in that football game with Oregon, right? I mean, now this isn't a foolproof thing. It loses too, so don't get me wrong. But I think there's a couple things here that we really need to start talking about with data and with what you see and what's going on. So there's this old thing, and that's why I love working with you on a lot of this stuff, is because I'm the guy that says, hey, this is what the data tells you, this is what the teams are like, and you're like, well, this is what the history and this is how things kind of go, and this is where the spots are. Well, that's exactly what you need, is a meld of the two. Not one or the other, but a meld of the two. Because what ends up happening is a lot of times, you'll get these spots where these things come up. And obviously Kansas, I was on Kansas, but Kansas didn't do it, and they were good. Florida State, I'm sitting there telling everybody they're the Ferrari, and they didn't do it, right? So there's reasons for certain things, and those are good spots gambling wise, because us gamblers have been in the history of doing this forever, and we know these spots. So I think it's a meld of a couple things. But here's what I will say: I think there's a lot of overreaction, especially in college football. Look at Ohio State's number when it opened. It was like 10 or 10.5, and then it got bet down to 8 or 8.5 or 7.5 against Washington. And what everybody was saying? Everybody was saying, well, you can't go play out in Washington because it's the environment, and it's this, it's that. They haven't lost a home game in 4 years, and and all this stuff. Well, Ohio State dominated that game. It was 26-6 or something like that, or whatever it was, 26-9, or I don't remember. But they didn't score more than 10 points, and it's one of these things where you sit there and you go, analyze the team for what they are, and then make a little bit of an adjustment from there. So, having said that, now that you've watched, especially on Friday night, you watched Florida State play Virginia, and you watched what happened there. I'm not impressed with Tommy Castellanos. I never really was. But at the same time, you put them in the front runner seat and you get them ahead. Maybe there's a little different way. And I think that's how they played against Alabama. I think Alabama was shell shocked, and Alabama just got smoked that game. They weren't ready. And shame on Caleb DeBoer for not having them ready that game. I don't know that Alabama's going to lose anymore this year. Alabama's good, and that quarterback was brand new his first day there, and he's good. Simpson.
He's damn good. I'm going to circle back for 1 second. I was on Virginia team total. We got that very easily against Florida State. I thought it was a great spot. I told you my Jekyll and Hyde with Virginia in those spots, and we did talk about Florida State. Maybe not. They weren't peaking, but they got Miami this week. The other one, again, I'm not doing victory laps because I didn't have anything on it. I did think Oregon State would hang around with Houston, and they kind of both played grab ass. It was what it was. Oregon State got out
was
early
horrible
there.
football to watch, man.
But again, like the NFL, which NFL stands for not for long, any given Sunday, whatever you want to call it. I keep trying to explain to everyone watching and listening, if you didn't get it the first 30 times, maybe you get it on the 31st time. Scotty, refresh my memory. The NFL has 32 teams, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's 16 in the AFC, 16 in the NFC. But if you take all 32 teams, you can actually set up a top tier of 5 or 6. 5 or 6 in the top tier. And then you can easily put 5 or 6 in the bottom tier. So if you use 6, you got 12. That means you got 20 teams that are just one good week, one bad week. One bad week, one good week. And I think if you guys really start to sharpen your eyes, see what they did last week, see what they have this week, and take a look at what they have next week. You're going to start to understand. The light bulb's going to come on. I'm not telling you to fire on the top 6 teams. I'm not going to tell you to fire against the bottom 6 teams. I think there's some money to be made in the every other week approach. And again, it's working for us so far here. At ECSI, it's helping us at the Westgate contest, where the Westgate contest, Scotty, 5 picks against the spread, and the first week you got 3 months of data because the numbers are out. We went 1-4. Well, at the Westgate, there's individual thirds, not quarters. So 1-4 first week out, we're already done for the first third. Well, of course, you got an overall prize in top 20, 30, 40, whatever they pay out 50. We go 3-2 the second week. We go 3-1-1 to wrap up the third. So last week was the first week of the second third. We nailed the Patriots. We nailed the Chiefs. We nailed the Giants. And 1, 2, 3. We were 4-0 and a blocked field goal away. We had the Raiders. We were 4-0 and a blocked field goal away from a 5-0. And again, that's kind of sort of using that approach there. So I know I crossed. But my point is, what you're saying about college, there's elite teams. But I'm going to say this, Scotty. Correct me if I'm wrong. Penn State Clemson was the championship that a lot of people had. Ohio State's not going to, re-up here. And we know the SEC is long, long, and long. But I don't think currently Ohio State, obviously the team to beat because they're still the champs. But the Texases of the world, the Georgias of the world, the blue bloods of the world. It's anyone's championship, I think, currently right now in college football.
Yeah, I look. Um, I don't think there is a. No, I thought last year at the end of the year, Ohio State played like they were supposed to play the entire season. I thought that I couldn't figure out what they were doing at the beginning of the season. I mean, that was a talented roster that it was better than anybody else's, and you could see it. That offense and they had to run a gauntlet through the playoffs to win. I mean, they had to beat everybody, and they did. And they didn't just win; they handily won. So they lost all those kids, and I'm like, they're not going to be that good in this quarterback and blah blah blah. So I get it, but they're going to be good, right? So what I didn't expect was Matt Patricia to be really good, and Matt Patricia's doing a great job in this college level football stuff that he's doing over there with the kids that he has. That defense is pretty elite, I will say that. So having said that. I don't think that you can sit there and go, well, they got a brand new quarterback saying, but he's never played. How are you going to sit there and go like he's the best quarterback in the league? Well, he's doing pretty damn good, but that doesn't mean he's the best quarterback around. He's got talent, right? I mean, he's got the best wide receiver to throw to, and this kid Tate ain't too bad either. They're probably going to be both in the top first round draft picks. Now, having said all that, these teams, like I'm just going to say it again, like I've been saying for a little bit, Florida State, I think, is whatever Florida State is. They're a college football team, right? They don't run a pro style offense. None of that stuff. Ohio State's running a pro style offense. Miami University of Florida is running a pro style offense. They got a pro style offense quarterback. They got great offensive line. They got great defensive line. I think that team. I don't think people should be sleeping on Miami of Florida. I don't think anybody's going to beat Miami of Florida until they make it to the playoffs. I think they're going to beat them all. So they're going to win the ACC anyway, in my mind. Look, Clemson's whatever Clemson is, and you've got all these hype machine people out there talking about how these quarterbacks and Klubnik and and whoever else you want to put like Nussmeier and LSU, right? Well, if they're that good, then those teams should win the games that they've been losing. Like LSU can't score points. They got a pretty good defense, but they can't score points. So if you can't score points, when you face a team that can score points, you're not going to win. And that's the problem with like an LSU against Mississippi. That was a surprise to me, to be quite honest. I knew Mississippi was 1.5, 2.5 point favorites in that football game because it was at home there. But my other thought is okay, well, the kid that's playing quarterback for Mississippi didn't start. And he's doing well, but they don't really have a defense to stop anybody. So if you're going to put Mississippi against, a team like Alabama, which is going to play, I think, some point in time, you're going to see Alabama be, bigger favorites in that game than the way it works out here. So yes, I agree. I don't think there's a lot of major talent at the top, but I do think the talent that is at the top is pretty good comparative to everything else. Like Oregon's not a bad football team.
No.
Oregon can play. So I'm like, Oregon can play, Miami can play. I think Ohio State can play, and some of these other teams, I think Alabama can play. So I think you got some of these teams that are going to get in there and rough up everybody else, and we'll see how it kind of plays out. My thought.
No, and I agree. As you said, Thursday night, Sam Houston, New Mexico State. Friday, Charlotte, South Florida, Western Kentucky, Delaware, New Mexico, San Jose State, West Virginia, BYU. Wow, the mighty have fallen. BYU, 19.5 point favorites against West Virginia. Colorado State travels to San Diego State at 5.5. On Saturday, I got one game that just stuck out to me like a sore thumb. I can't wait to hear your thoughts there. Kentucky goes to Georgia, open to 21, now 20.5 Georgia. Kansas, Central Florida, 5.5 minuses for Kansas. Virginia, Louisville. Louisville a 7.5 point favorite. I think that's a good spot for Louisville there. Washington travels to Maryland. Maryland 6. Bounce back there for Washington. Wisconsin travels to Michigan. 16.5, 17 at the Circa. Clemson travels to North Carolina, and Bill Belichick up to 14 for Clemson. BC travels to Pitt. They not look good. I did say all last week. I thought it was a great spot for Cal there, and they went outright. Pitt 6.5 point favorites there. Michigan State travels to Nebraska. Nebraska 10.5, 11 in some spots there. Duke travels to Cal. Duke 3 point favorites at Cal there. Penn State to UCLA 25 and a hook. Texas and Florida. Texas at Florida. Only 6.5 there, Scotty. Miami travels to Florida State. Miami is a 4.5 or a 4 point favorite there. Vandy and Alabama. Listen, we had Vandy first half team total over. Get there. 10.5. Diego has been amazing, but Alabama at home is a different beast there. We do know that. Texas Tech 12 at Houston. K-State Baylor. Baylor 6 and a hook. Boise State at Notre Dame. Notre Dame 20.5. Mississippi State A&M 14. Again, not the big marquee games. Here's the one that stands out like a sore thumb, Scotty. Number 14, Iowa State travels to Cincinnati. Iowa State opened up at 2. 1s and 1.5s for Cincy. I'll tell you right now, today, I am on the Cincinnati money line, and I'm going to say not so fast. That's what you're going to say, and why you like Iowa State.
Oh, I don't know about that. I would tell you this. I'm not sold on Iowa State. Iowa State I just bet them this weekend. They won huge. So that was a great bet. I don't remember who they played now off the top of my head. I can look. Iowa State played Iowa State played Arizona. And the reason that I thought it was good that Iowa State played Arizona, or at least I bet them in that spot, was because Arizona was a team that everybody likes and thinks that okay, well, I just watched them play on TV. They got a pretty good offense, and they got a pretty good quarterback and all this stuff. But you got to play talent. You got to play teams. Well, Cincinnati's played a little bit of talent. They played some teams. I was against Cincinnati last week. I didn't. Cincinnati's quarterback's done well. And I just thought, okay, well, Kansas at home. I thought that they were going to be able to handle that spot, but we'll see how it goes. Now you have Cincinnati that plays Iowa State. I don't know that this sort of stands out to me. I think that when I look at it in terms of the number says Iowa State. I have Iowa State opened at -2.5. Kenny's got the number -2 for Cincinnati, and Bill Connolly has the score in that game. Where'd it go? I just moved my doodad around. Iowa State, there it is. It has the game 28-25. Iowa State over Cincinnati. And then obviously the line's now changed to where Cincinnati's the favorite. So I haven't. If I go pull up my data numbers on that game, let's see. That game starts at noon. So let's go pull it up. Preview noon. So you've got EPA per play, 17-21, 32nd-40. So they're about even. So there's not really a big edge one way or the other, but a slight edge to Cincinnati in that regard. Yards per play is a bigger edge to Cincinnati. Available yards is about the same with an edge to Iowa State. So that tells me they're a little bit more explosive, Iowa State. And success rate is kind of geared towards Cincinnati. So theoretically, when you kind of look at it just from that base regard, Cincinnati's maybe a little bit better football team. So having said that, at the beginning, if you could have got them +2, that's probably pretty good. Now they're the favorite. Let's see if they really should be. offensively for Iowa State, that they have a significant, and I'm just going to tell you this is significant passing attack advantage here. And I don't know if you can see my little chart that kind of behind me, but this where I'm pointing right now is a purple box, bright, big purple. And then the one over here is a little bit shaded green. And that first top box up there, that is Iowa State's offense against the Cincinnati defense. Iowa State is ranked 48th with a 0.17 positive EPA in pass attack. And then on defense for Cincinnati, they are a 0.35 positive, which means that they allow that much. So if you're kind of going to look at it, it's almost a combined number. There you go. If you kind of look at it from they rank 133rd out of 133 teams. So Cincinnati is dead last at pass prevention, even though they're really good at run prevention. So the next box down says, hey, they're really good at run prevention, and Iowa State, they can't run the ball. Well, if you match that up, right, how often do you think Iowa State's going to run the football? They're not gonna. They're gonna just kind of, okay, well, we're going to do this to keep them honest. We're going to throw the ball every down. So I expect you would see that there's going to be a lot of that, and when you start to look at it, it starts to really break it down, especially like that very last little box there. You've got average third down distance for Iowa State. It's very little. They rank 7th, and then for Cincinnati's defense, they rank 121st. That means they're allowing. It's very little on their end too. They got to really stop third and shorts. So that means to me that you're going to see the offensive success rate, which is good for Iowa State, stay that way. I don't think you're going to see Cincinnati be able to defend that offense very, very big. Now, on the vice versa side of that, when you look at Cincinnati's offense, they can pass the ball, but Iowa State can defend it. When you look at the rushing, they can defend it. So Iowa State, the way the matchup kind of looks to me, just on that part of it, they're pretty good in this spot. On the ancillary stuff like net field position, Iowa State ranks 12th. Net field position for Cincinnati, they rank 60th. When it comes to like EPA per drive, they're about the same. But the reason they're about the same is if you look at that right-hand column and you slide all the way down to that purple box down there, that's going to say net EPA per drive for Cincinnati. On defense, they rank 112th. Look, you can't be a 130th, 112th rated defense and stop a pretty good offense. So I'm going to put this into the formula and come up with a score here later on, and not today, right this second, because I don't have it done. But my opinion is going to be it's going to tell me Iowa State wins this game.
Well, again, just reading from the market, reading, the ranked team versus a non-ranked team, seeing the flip, and I find it kind of comical now looking at it on game on paper. And as you said, every time Iowa State's going to have the ball, it's going to look like, Patrick Mahomes out there. And, it's not like Cincinnati's got this juggernaut offense either. So, again, what a difference the market compared to looking at it on game on paper.
Yeah, I think that here's what I think. I think that, a lot of these market makers, so think about who the market makers are, right? The guys that move the lines and they do the stuff that actually make the market to what it is. They're not doing what we're doing right here. They're not looking at this stuff. They're looking at what they saw with their eyes and they might have seen a box score that said, okay, well, this team had 4 turnovers and 1 when they shouldn't have, and stuff like that. They're doing that kind of work, and then they're looking at they're placating into certain spots. Hey Jeff, while you got I don't know if you still got that up, but look at I want you to pull up one more game if you can, without going too crazy. Um, um, Pull up the Friday New Mexico. I know I'm just this is in the weeds a little bit, but New Mexico San Jose State should be in the top right there of the games on paper. So I think what happens is that they look for spots and they look for different things and then they placate into that and they, oh, look at this line and I'm going to buy into it, and then I think it's wrong. I think you used to think it's right, but when you start to look at it, you go, holy crap! All right, so here's a game where I think I don't understand. So what's the line in this game, Jeff? San Jose State is minus 2.5 or whatever, right? And it opened, I think, minus 1.5, and people are betting on San Jose State against New Mexico. I don't think people understand New Mexico. They're whatever. If you don't know them, they're the Lobos. So just to give you a heads up, that's what they're called. They're not a great football team. They've never been a great football team, but this year they're halfway decent. So when I looked at this game, I'm looking at this, and I might bet it today. Just to be honest, I might bet this game today. So when you look at this game, so first of all, what sets me into this, right? So on my spreadsheet, I have a thing called yards per point margin, and it's real quick for me just to put it in there and go, well, this team, New Mexico ranks 32nd. So that means that margin of yards per point, it doesn't take them many yards to score points, and it takes the other team more yards to score points. So it's the margin. And for San Jose State, they rank 119th. So I look at that and then I go, well, that's a pretty big edge for New Mexico. And then I start looking at strength of schedule, and they're about the same. It's 75th for New Mexico and 56th for San Jose State. So I kind of played about the same, kind of close anyway, the same schedule. But look at all the purple and look at all the green on your sheet there. That what that tells you is that in this case specifically, if I pull this up, EPA per play, San Jose State ranks 100. They're at that top right-hand corner up there. They rank 116th, and New Mexico in that left-hand box, they rank 50th. So they're going to have an advantage of moving the football and keeping drives going. And then if you look at the kind of middle box there, available yards, 53% or 53 for New Mexico, 108th for San Jose State. Like 50 behind on both of those spots. And then success rate, they're purple in success rate, San Jose State. Where it really looks bad is San Jose State net EPA per play is terrible. On offense, they rank 88th, and on defense, they rank 125th. How can they stop anybody? And when you look at what the offense looks like for the Lobos, they rank 32nd in pass against the 125 for the defense for San Jose State. And then look below. Look at the bottom below. You look at the offense for San Jose State, passing 88th, rushing 114 against 57 and 48 for New Mexico. The wrong team's favored, Jeff. That New Mexico should win this game, and New Mexico should be favored. I'm going to bet New Mexico probably on this game. So unless you talk me out of it.
No, New Mexico actually had an amazing offense last year for New Mexico. We had their team total over, probably cashed, I want to say 7 or 8 out of 10, 11 times. And they played a couple bigger teams, and I think actually they might have played Michigan this year as well.
View that view profile box, click it, and you can see who they played.
Yeah, so 3-1.
They played Michigan 34-17 on opening day. Keep going.
Yeah.
There you go.
So again, I did bet against them against UCLA. Egg on me there. Then they had the rivalry game against New Mexico State there. They can score with the best of them, so it will definitely be interesting there. I wanted to, before we wrap things up today, I wanted to go take a peek for us here. Let me go over to here. NFL, Scotty. For one quick second, we can go back to college if you have any more there. Hold on one second. I must be missing a game I wanted. Oh, Thursday night, Rams and 49ers. That'll be a good game there. Minnesota, who was where were they? They were in Ireland. Now play in London. 3.5 point favorites against Cleveland. There's that every other week there. We saw the real Carson Wentz last week against Pittsburgh. Just trying to look at a couple. The marquee game, Denver at Philly, 3.5 right now at the Circa. Everyone betting on the come for Philly to finally lose one. New Orleans Saints, 1.5 point favorites against the Giants. God bless America. Baltimore, look ahead, 9.5 now 3, which obviously tells us that Lamar will not be playing against Houston. Your Tampa Bay Bucks travel to Seattle. Seattle, surprisingly 3-1, looking great. Extra rest they played on Thursday night. So Seattle 3.5 against Tampa. Detroit travels to Cincy. Yeah, whatever. But the 8:20 game, Scott. Actually, Monday night game, Kansas City at Jacksonville. Kansas City a flat 3 against Goldilocks in Jacksonville after an upset win in San Fran. But Patriots travel to Buffalo, opening number 10.5. It's down to 7.5 and a 50 at the Circa. Is a little too much steam here on the Pats here, or what do your eyes see on that one?
Well, I see that, and I just saw this, before I got on the show today. People talking on Twitter, going, "Hey, the last week's game, it's all over. If you didn't like New England, then you're going to love them now because the reality is you missed the boat. All the morale's changed. They're a team that's fixed everything." And I get it. Look, you got a good young quarterback, and you got some different things. You got a head coach maybe you can believe in. You got some stuff going on. I look at this and I go defensively. Where's New England? New England is right now, EPA wise, they're 23rd. You're not going to win against Buffalo and do different things when you've got the 23rd defense. Now, granted, I will say that Buffalo's defense hasn't been the most impressive thing in the world, but Buffalo's offense is going to be more impressive than what you're going to see from New England's offense. The head coach is going to take more spots. So, to my opinion, to answer your question, I think this is a bad spot for New England, and people are riding them and bought them down. And what did you say it was 7.5 now? I think. Listen, if it's 7, you gotta buy Buffalo, especially when the line opened at 10. These guys know what they're doing. When you know how that goes. You're always the guys that trust the opening number. I think that's what you do. You sit there and go, the line should be closer to 10. Now it's down to 7.5. Is it ever going to make 7? That's kind of the thought in your head that you got to go. Is it ever going to make it? Well, if it doesn't make it, 7.5 is still better than paying 10, right? So I get it. You still got to cover the hook, but at the same time, they're supposed to be able to cover 10. So I look at that. Whoops, and then I got a coffee mess here. But then you look at the next week, right? So who does Buffalo have next week? Buffalo plays a Monday night at Atlanta. So I don't think that's going to be any big deal that they're going to be fired up to play to worry about. And then New England goes on the road and plays New Orleans. So these are going to be a focused game for both of them, and it really is going to be a focused game for Buffalo. So I think this is one of those spots where you go and say, well, Buffalo's the right side, and it's just a matter of kind of figuring out where you want to go with it. And Josh Allen and those guys will do it. I haven't looked deep enough into the college football yet to give you anything else. But I did see that spot with New Mexico. I think that's a play. I haven't bet it yet. I don't want it to get to 3. I wanted to share it out here and then have you talk me out of it. You're not going to, so I think I'm going to bet it.
Well, again, I'll just say this out loud. And again, I don't have the numbers yet in front of me. I'll just do basic math here. Where are we here? It's a 58 and a half, 59, 20, 30, 29 each. I'll be on New Mexico team total over 28 and a half, at least 27 and a half. That's
Well, I
where
don't
I'll
think they played a game they haven't scored well, other than the game where they scored, I think it was 34-17, and they were ahead in that game. If I remember right, they were ahead in that game. My other thought is they didn't score less than 30 points in any of their other games they played this year. So I like it, and I sit there and look at San Jose State. San Jose State got beat by Stanford last week, for God's sakes.
So did BC. Wrap up the show here with a little banter, a little fun. Again, MLB does start. We did a big show an hour last night on the MLB. I had a chance to let the numbers simmer. Let me just do this, Scotty, here. Let me go here. See here. Scooble right now at circa 158. Boyd and the Cubs got a little money overnight. They are now minus 122, 126. Little money leaking in on the Yankees, freed up to 135 in some spots. You can get the Red Sox plus 117. Dodgers, it's kind of funny. Dodgers minus 300. We talked about that series there. Less than $2 tonight. And I'm a big Hunter Green fan against Blake Snell here. Any closing thoughts on today's games alone?
Well, the biggest surprises that I think that came across for me is that the odds makers made these opening numbers, especially with the totals, make it look like you've got the best of the best pitchers of all of the world pitching against each other. And it's not really true. I mean, Skeens isn't out there against Scooble. You know what I mean? Like that's not what's happening. So I sit here and think I think there's going to be, in most of these games, I think you're going to see a little more runs than what you might not normally see. And it's the wild card version, so it's not the divisional. It's not the championship round. Where those rounds are going to be a little different, where you're going to have the other teams involved, right? You're going to have the Phillies in there and the Brewers in there, and you're going to have the Blue Jays and some the other teams are going to be more involved with other pitchers. So again, more dominant pitchers are going to be in there. So I think that the surprise to me of all of it is that I think these numbers are set too low. I normally, yes, I would say you can run into that. It's still pretty warm outside, or at least here it is in Florida. Look at my face. I mean, I worked all weekend and out putting out Halloween stuff, and I got fried. So it's 90 degrees, and still feels like 100 out here. So when you're looking at baseball, I think that as the weather cools, as the pitchers get more dominant, sure, the numbers should be lower. But I think this first round, sitting them at 6 and 7 on all of them, I don't think is quite right, because the reality is these pitchers aren't the best pitchers in all of baseball that are going. I mean, you can't sit here and tell me that Boyd's the best pitcher in baseball, for God's sakes. And you just can't. You got I get it. You got Crochet, who is, but Pavetta's not the best pitcher in baseball either. Now he's a good pitcher, but when you start Gavin Williams and these guys, they're not that spot. So we'll see, especially tomorrow, right? When the line's open for these games tomorrow, they better be at more than 7 tomorrow, for God's sakes, for these pitchers. Holy shit. So anyway, that's kind of my thought. And when we talked about it yesterday, Jeff, I bet the Detroit on the series at minus 120 yesterday. I bet the Yankees at the series. Now I got them at 158, and I think they're a little higher than that now. And I did it. I just threw the money out there and said I could get the Dodgers at 270, so I bet them at 270 yesterday on the series. I know it's 300 or something, and I said I'm going to play Padres day by day. Um, I'm not playing the Padres today until I get a feel for what they look like. So we'll see how that goes. But theoretically, they've got the pitching edge today. But I think they've got a. I'm not a big Monica fan, so I think they've got, if Cease is right, especially in the first 5 innings, I think they've got a good dominant edge tomorrow against the Monica. And then what are you going to run into? Because I have no idea who they're going to pitch. I think they're going to pitch Darvish is who I think they're going to pitch on Wednesday or Thursday if it gets there. And then the Cubs are going to the Cubs are going to have to throw Tyon or somebody. So again, that's where you sit there and you go, shit, that total could be 9. It's I'm just making that up. But the point I'm saying is that I don't think there's a good value on that series that way. But I said all year the home teams are winning, and they've been winning all the time. So it's really hard to bet against home teams. So that's why I think New York and the Dodgers are good. I'm betting Detroit because I think if they win this first game with Scooble, which I think they will, I think Scooble will be on today. If they win the first game, and then they have Mize against Bybee, and then they also will come back and they'll have Flaherty. And I know nobody likes Flaherty, but the reality is Flaherty's a war horse. He's been around. He's good in these spots, and Cleveland doesn't have that. They got Saccone and whatever that left-handed kid's name, Cirillo or whatever his name is. So Cantillo, that's who it is. And they don't have an offense. So they don't really have a big home field edge. So I think they only got to win one of the next 2. So I bet Detroit, I think, and I didn't want to pay the price of paying for Scooble, so I paid it that way and put it over the series.
And just looking, a couple eye openers. If you don't want to lay the lumber, I will have Detroit in the series, and we'll have. How do I get into Detroit today as well? I'm not going to lay the 65 cents. Detroit run line, which again in a 6-7 under over is a tough pill to swallow, but you can get plus 118 on the Tigers minus a run and a half today. And here's an eye opener, Scotty. The Padre Cubs. Boston Yankees. I mean, if you like the Yankees to win the run line plus 163. Here's a funny. Let me just double check. Okay, if you like the Cubs today to win by the run line, you get plus 180. You probably wouldn't do that. But here's an eye opener. I was born at night, not last night, sir. Cincinnati and the Dodgers. Dodgers and Snell were about minus 200, money trickling in on the Reds against Hunter Green. The books are kindly offering you plus 112 if you like the Dodgers on the run line, which smells to holy heaven. Dodgers win, they're going to win by 1 today, guys. That's what the market's telling me. So again, if you like Detroit today with Scooble, don't want to lay the 65, 70 cents. You can get them on the run line plus 118. Buyer beware, Cincinnati Dodgers. They're giving you plus money on the Dodgers run line. Me and Scotty will be off tomorrow. We'll be back Thursday and Friday, same bat station, 9/9/15. Tomorrow, myself and Andrew McGinnis will be here at 9 a.m. Talk some CFL, talk about his Jays, talk about some hockey. Potentially Matthew George from Sports Grid will be back. And then Thursday and Friday, same cast of characters with Tyler Wyatt and, of course, Matt Grissom on Thursday and Nick Hathcote on Friday. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the baseball playoffs, guys. Have some fun here and stay tuned.